Okay, let's just dive right into this. When you hear the word botanist, what actually pops into your head? Maybe you picture someone in a wide-brimmed hat, quietly tending to a greenhouse somewhere. Or maybe a teacher pointing at a leaf diagram on a chalkboard. But what if I told you that modern botany is literally at the bleeding edge of global economics, biotechnology, and, get this, even cancer research? Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to completely shatter the traditional myths surrounding plant sciences. We're unpacking this really fascinating presentation called Biovision for Botanists, stripping away all those old misconceptions to look at the hard data and the real-world applications of a botany degree today. So get ready, because the hidden, high-tech world of plants, it's way more exciting than you ever imagined. All right, let's start with Section 1, the job hunt reality. So before we get to the really cool high-tech labs, we kind of have to start where almost every recent science graduate starts, right? The sheer, unadulterated anxiety of the job market. You're looking at an image of someone sitting on some steps, holding up a cardboard looking for a job sign. And honestly, it perfectly captures that daunting, often really discouraging feeling of entering the workforce. Think about it. You spend years grinding for your undergrad degree. Maybe you go on to a master's, an MPhil, or even a PhD. You've literally studied the intricate biology of life itself, and yet you step out of those university gates and just feel completely lost in the sea of corporate buildings. It's a very real stress. Graduates are out there scanning the horizon, basically putting up "hire me" signs, and just wondering where their highly specialized knowledge actually fits into the real world. Which brings us to a massive, looming question, and really the whole reason for this explainer. Is a degree in botany just a one-way ticket to a classroom? I mean, for decades, society has basically funneled botany grads into a super narrow set of expectations. People just assume, oh, you'll teach, or you'll go into basic agriculture. But as we're about to see, letting society define your career path based on outdated stereotypes, that is a massive mistake.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 2, Unlocking Modern Plant Sciences.
To really understand why that's a mistake, we need to completely redefine what a botanist actually studies. Look at the sheer scale of the problems here. On the left, we've got leaves suffering from potato blight. On the right, a cluster of grapes that are just completely decimated by rot. You can also see evidence in the source material of corn devastated by smut, and ancient trees literally bleeding from bark disease. Now, these aren't just sad pictures of rotting plants in someone's backyard garden. No, these represent million-dollar, sometimes multi-billion-dollar global agricultural and economic crises. I mean, a single failed crop can completely devastate a regional economy and threaten our food security. The people who step in to solve these massive, incredibly complex biological puzzles, they aren't generalists. They are highly trained botanists. And that highlights the sheer complexity of the field. A modern botany department isn't just about, memorizing plant names. The subdisciplines read more like a cutting-edge science roster. We've got cytology, the study of cells, genetics, literally decoding the DNA of plant life, phytopathology, which is exactly what we just looked at, the study of plant diseases. Then there's economic botany, phytochemistry, forestry, plant anatomy, and crucially, bioinformatics. So the big takeaway here is that a modern botanist is kind of a data scientist, a geneticist, and a chemist all rolled into one. They are armed with this incredibly diverse, highly specialized toolkit. Which brings us to Section 3, Beyond Traditional Career Paths. So if you have this advanced toolkit, if you really understand phytochemistry and genetics, where do you actually go to work? Well, there's often this massive disconnect between expectation and reality. On one side, the source highlights what it calls mean jobs, basically the default expected paths, things like taking the TNPSC for government service, getting a B.Ed to teach, or just kind of settling into generalized marketing, management, or even call centers for BPO and medical transcription. Now, let me be clear, there is absolutely nothing wrong with those careers, but when highly trained cytologists and geneticists feel forced into them just because they don't know their options, well, that's just a massive waste of potential. Because instead of those traditional routes, the actual sectors that are absolutely desperate for botanical expertise are genuinely surprising. Food companies and national parks? Okay, sure, that makes sense. But the chemical industry? Yes, absolutely, because plants are basically complex chemical factories. Biotechnology firms? For sure. But the real curveball here? The oil industry. I mean, think about it for a second. Fossil fuels are literally ancient decomposed plant matter. Botanists and paleobotanists are absolutely crucial in locating and understanding these resources. So suddenly the horizon for a botany grad expands from a single classroom to these massive multinational industries. It's a real game changer. And this leads us to Section 4, the Indian biotech boom. Now, where is this career expansion more obvious right now than in India? This is where the whole myth of the dusty botanist completely falls apart. These are actual cutting-edge companies operating right now. Take 3B BlackBio Biotech. They're doing molecular diagnostics and working with PCR enzymes. Or ABC Genomics over in Lucknow. They provide custom microarrays and genetic marker-based screening for the healthcare industry. Abzone Biosciences, down in Bangalore, is developing immunology reagents and doing hardcore research on metabolic syndrome. ABL Biotechnologies in Chennai is working on antivirals, bioremediation, and biomolecular materials. And perhaps most incredibly, Actis Biologics in Mumbai is using biological research to develop anti-cancer drugs, recombinant proteins, and working directly in oncology. I mean, this is what you can do with a deep understanding of plant genetics and cellular structure. You can literally help cure diseases and develop advanced medical diagnostics. How wild is that?
So think back to that very first image of the graduate sitting on the steps with a cardboard sign. The actual reality today is a world of modern scientists working in sleek, high-tech, highly controlled laboratory environments. They're out there running centrifuges, operating under sterile hoods, and analyzing massive sets of genetic data. This is the whole biovision we've been talking about. It's the transition from being a student of plant life to becoming a vital player in the biotechnology revolution. The exact skills you learn studying the cellular structure of a leaf, those are the very same foundational skills used to develop a brand new vaccine or a breakthrough anti-cancer drug. So, what does this all mean? What should you actually take away from all this? Whether you're a student, an educator, or honestly just someone who loves science, remember this one thing. A botany degree is not a limitation, it is a launch pad. Understanding the oldest living things on Earth is, quite literally, the key to our high-tech future. So the next time you look at a plant, don't just see a simple leaf. I want you to see a complex biological machine that actually holds the secrets to molecular diagnostics, sustainable agriculture, and advanced medicine. So my final question to you is this. With an entire world of biotechnology waiting out there, how will you apply your biovision to shape the future? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.